Cue the intro.
Yes, it's true. I did end up losing my job because of Kingdom Hearts. Kinda. It's an interesting story, I promise. I'd like to mention that it's not my current job. This is a story that takes place back at the beginning of 2020. This was around the time that I was debating to retire the first SkywardWing channel. Remind was about to release, and I had a lot to consider. I plan to make a whole video talking about that entire experience one day, and honestly, that might be my magnum opus, but you know, who knows. Like the video if you're interested in learning more about that. Anyways, I was doing content full-time for quite a while, and it was going great. Truthfully, doing YouTube full-time was not it for me. Once again, that's a story for another time. So I was looking for a new job, and I had recently just graduated college with my degree. I graduated with a major in TV and video production with a minor in journalism. Basically, I graduated with a really expensive piece of toilet paper. And since the content wasn't working out, I needed to find other ways to make money while looking for a more stable job. Your boy gotta eat and pay rent. Plus, it was kinda nice making money doing something that wasn't making content. Since I was in high school, I did content for the most part with a combination of doing some type of school like high school or college. Mind you, this was right before that big giant global thing happened that revealed the cracks in our entire society as a whole. At this time, I was working as a part-time employee at a supermarket chain. We're gonna call this supermarket Shop Mart because I'm not trying to drag nobody, but you'll probably know who I'm talking about with the context clues of the story. I was basically a microscopic gear in this giant multi-million-dollar clock. My official job title at Shop Mart was a shopper. What's a shopper, you might be asking? So at Shop Mart, they had this pretty neat feature that allows customers to order their groceries online. My job would be to go around the store with the list of the items they had requested, and I need to collect them all. I had a specific time limit to grab all the items, and sometimes orders were pretty small to extremely massive. I once had someone order 5 bottles of kombucha, which is like a no-brainer. They're all right there, same fridge, no problem. Only for someone to immediately file an 100-item order right after, which took forever. I would need to bag the groceries so the delivery people can go and grab the bags and drop them off to the customers. Honestly, the job wasn't that bad. I mean, it was pretty brain dead at some times to the point where I could just shut off my brain and just do the job. They had a strict no earphone rule, but during the winter seasons, I would wear this hat that would cover my ears and listen to podcasts during my shift. As a part-time employee, our scheduling was like super wild. I could have a shift that starts at 6 a.m. one day and then 5 p.m. the next. There were only limited spots to fill for each shift, so employees had to basically fight for their ability to work. It's definitely not the most perfect system, but this is how it worked at our magical Shop Mart. If you weren't fast enough to grab shifts, you're not working. This was my job with a combination of making content on YouTube before shutting down the channel and streaming on Twitch. And honestly, it wasn't that bad of a gig. I'm not someone who needs to make millions of dollars to be happy. As long as I can buy the basic needs and, you know, dip a little for video game stuff, I'm chilling. And that brings us to January 2020 and the release of Remind. When Remind was first announced, I was incredibly cautious of the content. After covering Kingdom Hearts 3 for years and not really enjoying how the base game came out, I was worried that I was gonna get burnt out again. Like, the original game sent me down such a depression spiral, but I decided to take that weekend off from Shop Mart. I had shifts that weekend, but I had leftover PTO that I was going to use to get out of them. So I spent that entire weekend playing Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. I streamed the entire thing from start to finish, and honestly, that might be my favorite streaming experience ever. The chat was incredibly active, and everyone was excited and happy and just overall very positive. It felt like a total reflection of what the discourse for Kingdom Hearts 3 was up to that point, and I absolutely adored Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. The Remind episode added some much needed context to the base game. Kairi is a character that I had such a massive distaste for by the end of KH3, but came around to finding her character enjoyable again by the end of Remind. Limit Cut introduced some of the best Kingdom Hearts boss fights in the history of the series and showed that the Osaka team has what it takes to create some absolute magic. And the secret episode is one of the coolest secret battles the series has ever had. It took me all day to beat Yuzora. I also re-uploaded my entire experience on the YouTube channel if you want to check it out. I'll put the link in the description if you want to watch it. I spent the entire weekend from waking moment to when I went to sleep playing Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, and honestly, I don't regret it at all. It was such an amazing experience. That is until the following Monday. So I finished Remind and I was returning back to my normal streaming schedule. I also worked later that day, so I was prepping to get back to work, you know, getting my outfit ready, doing what I gotta do. Tell me how I go to check my phone when I wake up and I get an email from Shop Mart. This email is basically my termination letter because they stated that I had abandoned my post that weekend. Bro, when I tell you I woke up feeling like that one Mr. Krabs meme, you know when you get dust in your eyes when you're still like waking up and you're like super confused? I was not ready to get womboed like that because I definitely submitted submitted my PTO times and everything. Like, I had the email with timestamps and everything. Mind you, the email that was sent to me was automated. Like, it wasn't even a manager or anything. This was a machine letting me know that I have been let go from my position. And mind you, I tried fighting it. I reached out with an email showing my PTO times, and I get a reply from the higher ups, and they're telling me my PTO didn't count for those days because they were submitted 4 minutes after the cutoff to submit PTO. I kind of just laughed to myself. I'm like, there's no way I got fired because my PTO request was 4 minutes later than the deadline. Like normal humans would do. They'd be like, yeah, that's fine, 4 minutes, no big deal. But like I said, Shop Mart is a corporate machine, and I was a minor cog in such a massive clock, to the point where it didn't even matter that it was only 4 minutes. I was told that rules were rules and there was nothing they could do about it. They also told me that if I wanted to reapply, I could do so, but I had to wait an entire year. So I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But to follow the motto,
it is what it is.
So now I was unemployed. It was also something that I wasn't really too keen about fighting back with. Like, the job was okay, but it wasn't worth getting all up in arms about. And it was almost kind of a relief since it gave me the push to try other things. Plus, I would steal almonds all the time. But I'm just freaking out because all the other places I was applying to were not getting back to me. Like, anyone who has job hunted knows that it is one of the worst things in the known universe. And it's a scary thing to worry about when you're gonna get your next paycheck. But I do think the universe likes to work in mysterious ways. So after spending that entire Monday like freaking out and applying to places, I get an email the next day, and it's a company replying to my resume submission and requesting me to submit a writing sample. And right at that moment, I submitted my sample, waited a few days, and found out that I got the job. And I've been working there for almost 2 years now. Have incredible superiors and coworkers, and I get to talk about video games. It almost feels like a dream come true. And it came at a perfect time when I needed change and a job more than ever before. I like to think life it works in funny ways like that. Yes, this is the time Kingdom Hearts got me fired. Or the video should be titled, "The Time Capitalism Had to Capitalism and I Wasn't Allowed a Moment of Freedom and Enjoyment Without Punishment." Truthfully, I wasn't too worried about it at the time. Is it weird to say playing Remind was worth losing my job for? Because it definitely was. But now I know to put my PTO in weeks earlier, and I'm still trying to figure out this whole adult thing. You know, I started YouTube when I was just a teenager, and now I'm like a whole adult with a job, responsibilities, wife, kids. Ultimately, do what you want to do. I guess that's the lesson here. Oh, and comment if you have like any nightmare work-related stories. I love reading that stuff. It is so fun. Just please let me know. Give me all the tea. I need it in the comments. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and stay awesome.